relations, and play-by-play broadcasting. Also, check out www.abramsboxing.com, Abrams Boxing on YouTube, as well as M. Abrams Boxing on Twitter and Mark Abrams Boxing on Instagram. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Abrams Boxing Show. I'm Mark Abrams. I'm broadcasting this week from Nashville, Tennessee, where I just finished up a broadcast that featured Country Box 2. It's a new series, the first Tuesday of every month, live in Nashville, Tennessee. It was seen live on iTube 247.com, countrybox247.com, and Fight.tv. Just had a nice four-bout card. I had the pleasure of working with the former NFL All-Pro defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans, Albert Haynesworth. So check it out on one of those platforms, and it's up on demand. So let's get right to the news of the week. This past Saturday, former two-time heavyweight champion of the world Anthony Joshua went to 25-3 with a 12-round unanimous decision. I call it a ho-hum unanimous decision over Jermaine Franklin. Franklin falls to 21-2. That bout took place at the O2 Arena in London. First fight for Joshua under Derek James. Scores were 118-111 and 117-111 twice. I feel that Anthony Joshua is going to need a couple more fights in order to maybe get himself right, to be a serious threat to fight guys like Tyson Fury or, Deontay Wilder or one of the other guys, or maybe Anthony Joshua. Maybe we've seen the best days of Anthony Joshua. That remains to be seen. Saturday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, about seen live on ESPN Plus. Two-time Olympic Cuban gold medal winner Robesi Ramirez won the WBO featherweight championship with a 12-round unanimous decision over former 122-pounder Isaac Dogboe. Ramirez now 12-1, took scores 117-110, 118-109, and 119-108. Dogboe falls to 24-3. WBO female atomweight champion Yuko Kuroki went to 21-7-2, 9 knockouts. She successfully defended her title with a 12-round unanimous decision over ex-titleist Nene Suzuki, who's now 11-6-1. Scores are 96-94 twice and 97-93. Also in the sad, I guess you want to call it the sad department, 54-year-old Hall of Famer Roy Jones Jr. dropped an 8-round majority decision to first-time boxer and former MMA world champion Anthony Pettis. That took place in Milwaukee on Saturday night. Scores are 78-74, 77-75 for Pettis, and 76-74. Jones falls to 66-10. It was a sanctioned fight, and unfortunately, it's going to go on Roy Jones' record. This Saturday, live on ESPN, Shakur Stevenson takes on Tsuchihiro Yoshimo in what will be a WBC lightweight elimination bout. Also on the card, George Arias is going to be taking on the good-looking heavyweight Jared Big Baby Anderson, and also Keyshawn Davis, the Uber prospect that a lot of people are calling him, taking on Anthony Yigit. One fight that's going to be on the prelim portion on ESPN Plus will pit Bruce Carrington against Brandon Chambers. Carrington, one of the best up-and-coming young fighters in the game. I was recently out in Las Vegas, and I had a chance to speak to the young, undefeated Bruce Carrington, and this is how. Back here at the MGM Grand Hotel, Mark Abrams, along with, the list doesn't go long in terms of top prospects of the game. Bruce Carrington, Shoo in the house. What's happening?
Man, listen, we are here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We just finished out the weigh-ins for the David Benavidez and Caleb Plant. I'm super excited for this. I'm happy to be a spectator and a fan of the sport, and we locked and loaded, and we're ready to watch the show tomorrow.
Seems like a lot of you guys, as top-ranked guys, especially the ones from back east, you're out here this, last few weeks, trained at the, I would imagine, the top-ranked gym.
Yeah.
How's everything going? You usually train back home for the most part, correct?
No, to be honest, every single fight that I've had, I've come out here for training camp.
Gotcha.
It's always something good to come out and try something new, try something different. And I remember my first fight, I came out here, I fell in love with Vegas just because of the amount of competition that comes out here. All the who's come out here, the training conditions and the weather conditions that are get you very prepared for this and for fighting. And it's just something that I've always wanted to stay around with. And that's why every single fight I have, I come out here for training camp.
I guess you're probably getting. I mean, you could get it in New York, but you're getting real top notch work out here.
Definitely. I feel like more traffic in terms of like people wanting to spar and fight other people. They come out here to Vegas. Like the traffic used to be pretty good in New York, but it kind of slowed down over the years. So I'm just gonna go wherever the best work is.
You fought on a few cards at the Garden Theater. You're around here in the media room. You see all the fighters out here. You said the weigh-in was all crazy in there. Sir. And I don't think you're that far away, believe it or not, with only 5-6 fights that you have. You shut your eyes for a second, envision yourself up there in the weigh-in for a big mega fight, or
100%. This is something that I've dreamed of. This is something that I've worked on, all my life, and I'm definitely gonna make it. When the time is ready. Like I'm not settling for no second best. I'm not settling for anything. I want to be the best of the best when it's all said and done. When you mention the names of Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, all of the big names. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done and my career is done, I want my name to be in the conversation.
Well, your Brownsville neighbor Mike was here yesterday.
I saw
today.
Him. Yeah,
and your other Brownsville neighbor Zab was here today. So.
Yeah, I was with Zab. I was hanging out with Zab for a little while after the weigh-in as well too.
Anyone else from Brownsville here today?
Oh, not that I've seen. But Brownsville's in the building. We're everywhere.
I haven't seen Shannon yet. Who knows? He
may probably. You never know.
Or Riddick or one of those other guys. What is it about that little section of Brooklyn? Is it the water there or something?
Man, that's what I say. I always tell people it's the water. But honestly, it's literally coming out of New York, period. It's like, you have a certain type of aggression about you. We're very aggressive when it comes to hustling and go-getters, very high demanding. And then going into Brownsville, which is inside of Brooklyn, which is just the toughest, the roughest, most notorious neighborhood in New York. It's like, the living conditions, sometimes things you see you can't control. It's just it's built us into a certain type of people. And I feel like that's why we produce so many champions. We fight for a certain reason. We fight harder. We have something to really. That's something that's pushing that motivation for us.
You're fighting to get out, I guess, right?
Yeah, man, it's fighting to get out. But then after a while, it's like fighting to show what we came from. It's not just about getting out. It's like showing what we came from, and we kind of express that every single time we step in the ring.
How many times as a kid did they say to you, "Well, Mike did it, Shannon did it, Zab did it, you can do it too"?
All the time. It's some type of pressure that was put on me at a young age, but it's something that I was made for. I never felt like it was too much. It was something that I actually embraced, and I show up, time and time again.
April 8th, back in Newark, close to home. So
close to home.
I guess you'll have a lot of fans in the building on April 8th in Newark.
Of course. We have a party bus actually going from Brownsville. All the local fans, we're going to take them all the way to Newark and back. So that's something else I also want to plug in. You guys can also DM me on my Instagram, Bruce_Carrington, and you can ask for the link for the bus, and I'll give it to you.
So I know you're fighting a kid named Brandon Chambers, is another undefeated guy.
Yeah.
Right before we hit the play button or the record button, you said there are a lot of guys who won't sign the contract, and he would.
Yeah. No, that's one thing. Like, I respect him for it, because there's a lot of guys that was offered to fight me and they weren't taking it. And he's the guy that stepped to the plate. I respect him, and it's a step up for me. This is my first fight, fighting an undefeated fighter, going 8 rounds, and I'm ready for the test. I'm ready. I put all the work in the gym. At this point now, we just shaving down a few pounds, but we're ready to go.
One thing, I'm impressed with a lot of things that you've done so far, but one thing that I was really impressed by, I guess it was your second fight when you almost decapitated Yuri Andujar.
That was a third fight.
Third fight. You almost decapitated him. And, most young fighters will think, what, I can do the same time and come out headhunting from the get-go in your next fight, that really believe that you are Superman.
Yeah.
You just stick to your game plan the next fight, and you always hear the adage, "A knockout will come." That's the way. I can tell that's the way you fight.
100%. I've spent so many years in the game. Like I'm 18 years of being a boxer. I've had 286 amateur fights. I did the whole system when it came to going out for the trials, for the Olympic trials and stuff like that, and qualifying. So
traveling the world.
I done made all those type of mistakes of knocking a guy out and then going the next fight and thinking that the same thing's going to happen, and then I end up coming up short. That happens. So I learn from those mistakes, and I make sure I perfect my craft. So you'll never see those type of mistakes. And again,
You said 286 amateur fights.
Yeah.
How difficult is it? And obviously, you have the best in the business and top rank, and how to steer a young fighter to where they need to be. Did you ever say to yourself, you know what, I'm 3 fights. I want to be fighting for not world title, but maybe one of these type of fights, or fighting that guy by my 10th fight. Did you sometimes have to catch yourself not to go too fast and say, you know what? Brad and Bruce, they know what they're doing. Have you had that internal thoughts to yourself?
Listen, me and my dad, which is also my manager, we had a game plan coming into the pros. We are not on a fast track. And I don't, in my mind, mentally, I never had to hold myself back to, want to go on a fast track. We have a plan, and everything is going according to plan. I want to make sure like I build my record and I build my my career in the right way, so I can be prepared for those contentions, those title contentions, and those those championship fights. You can't skip grades, my dad would say.
Okay.
You gotta go through the 9th, 10th, 12th grade, whatever, and you can't skip grades, because then you'll be missing certain things, and when it's time for you to fight for the championship, you'll come short. I've seen it happen with a lot of my stablemates, and that's not a mistake that I want to do. I want to be able to make sure I'm a thorough fighter.
I'm trying to think, have you fought in the big room yet, Madison Square Garden? I know you.
No, I have not. I was supposed to fight there on Heisman weekend in last December, but my opponent failed his physical, which sucked. And that would have been a big deal. But, hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to fight in the big room.
From what I've been reading, and who knows what's true, I'm just reading it. So the top-ranked people, I'm not trying to – I guess there's a possibility that Teofimo may fight Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
It could land in the small room. It could land in the big room.
Hope it's the big room.
But I'm saying, if you – get out with a win, no cuts, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Would you be targeting and maybe please asking Top Rank, please put me on?
100%. I have to at least put my foot in there, in the big room and fight. Like that's a big dream. Like I fought in the small room in the theater, and a few times. Even as an amateur, I fought there a few times, but never in a big room. That is a dream come true. And I just can't wait. If the opportunity presents itself, I'm taking it.
How long have you been thinking about that moment?
Man, I've been thinking about that moment since I was a little kid. Like just I remember, I'll tell you, I remember watching Vladimir Klitschko and Calvin Brock.
Who was there?
Yes, and that right there, I think Layla Ali, she was in the undercard as well too.
Sure was, yeah.
That was the day when I was like, man.
Her father walked in.
Yeah, and the whole crowd went crazy.
Ali,
it was amazing. That was the day that I knew that I wanted to fight in the big room.
Would you? So we're literally 50 feet away from the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another bucket list.
Yeah. I already took off the T-Mobile Arena off the milestone thing, So the MGM Grand is definitely something that's.
Will you be at the fight Saturday night?
100%. I'm a fight fan.
And I don't know if I asked you who you think's gonna win.
Man, it's actually going to be a close fight. I'm rooting for Caleb 100%.
Everyone's. I mean, I've interviewed six fighters say 6-0 for Caleb.
Yeah. Listen, I'm rooting for Caleb, man. But I honestly, from a boxer standpoint, me being a fan of Caleb, that's why I'm choosing him. Okay. But from a boxer standpoint, I feel like Benavidez has more of an advantage when it comes to his style of fighting and his size. I feel like he definitely has more of an advantage. But Caleb has what it takes to nullify what David brings to the table.
I asked Caleb, and I've told everyone who I've interviewed today. I asked Caleb this week, and you haven't gone through it. Maybe you're going to at some point soon. Caleb's been through this whole thing with the Canelo fight, with all the interviews, the craziness at weigh-ins and press conference. He went through all that. Benavidez' first time, I guess we saw at the weigh-in, he got after the pinky went on the cheek. Yeah. Benavidez got a little bit unraveled there for a minute. I mean, do you think those stuff like that, going through the gamesmanship, the mind games, that happened 24, 48 hours before the fight? Yeah. Do you think that has a bearing? Could that have a bearing into the fight?
Oh, 100%. You can definitely bring that energy into these fights, and you could either, use that energy to make you sharper and come out very aggressive, or kind of lose control. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword if you don't know how to control that anger, to be honest. So, it was a perfect time for Caleb to test that, and then we're going to see how it all turns out tomorrow.
We're sitting here at 7:27 Eastern time. So Benavides is probably sitting in. I don't know if he's staying at the hotel or has a house here. He's either sitting there laughing at what just happened, or saying, "I want to f this guy up really bad." And I'm saying, and kind of get him out of whack, a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like definitely he's playing mental warfare. But that's veteran moves right there. Yeah. Come on, like you got to do what you got to do. And,
Canelo did it to him.
Right? That's true.
It's kind of like you learn for. But so I'm sure you can't wait to get on one of these weigh-ins and maybe get a rival, talk a little smack to him.
I mean, listen, I'm prepared for that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like the day that comes, I'm 100% prepared for that. That's gonna make the fight, even more fun for me because I use that anger and I kind of like really take it out on my opponent. So I don't really advise any of my opponents to do that, to be honest.
I know you said about you don't want to rush too much, but do you watch Emmanuel Navarrete and think maybe, or do you think you watch Oscar Valdez and? I maybe fight one of those guys.
100%, yeah, and definitely, in next few years, I'll definitely be knocking on the door. I watch them all the time. I study these guys. Trust and believe they're in my sight, 100%, and I'm getting ready for them each and every day.
And that way, I'll ask you a top-ranked question to end this thing. It looks like May 20th, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko. What are your thoughts of that? He's been out here. Do you see Haney at all? Or
no, I haven't bumped into Haney this training camp, but I bump into him from time to time, though, for sure. I feel like that Devin has been really improving so much. He's been really doing his thing, especially with his showcases in the last two fights with Kambosos. I feel that he has the advantage coming into this fight. And it's crazy because probably the last year or probably, year and a half ago, people might say that it would probably be the other way. But Devin right now, I feel because Lomachenko had problems with Jermaine Ortiz. Mm-hmm. And Devin does what Jermaine Ortiz did better.
Yeah.
So if he brings that into the table, into this fight, Devin could definitely come in with the win. But Lomachenko is Lomachenko. His angles, his footwork, his pace, and everything he brings to the table is going to be always something for anyone to deal with. There's going to be a lot to deal with. So it's going to be a tough fight.
Funny.
I feel like Devin's may win.
It's funny. I broadcast a lot of fights. I work with a lot of fighters, sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. I think there's a broadcasting career way down. No. Way down. 20 years down the line.
Oh man, thank you.
No,
man.
I mean, you just articulated 3 or 4 different fights.
Thank you.
Like this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, you can tell you're a real student of the game.
100%. You have to be.
You watch every fight.
Yes.
Whether it's a 4-round fight or a 12-round fight.
Definitely. 100%.
Boxing's on TV. Everyone out of the house, I'm watching TV.
100%.
We ain't going out tonight.
100%.
Bruce Shushu Carrington, thank you for a few minutes of your time.
Thank you for having me.
Everything's been 7-8 minutes. Look, I got 14 out of you. It's unbelievable. Thank you and best of luck.
Yes, sir.
One of my favorite interviews I've done in a while. Bruce Carrington did a hell of a job when we were out in Las Vegas. This Saturday night, live on actually be Saturday morning in the United States on ESPN Plus. Kenshiro Taraji will defend his WBA 108-pound world titles. Also, Takuma Inoue will take on Laborio Solis for the WBA bantamweight title. Saturday night in San Antonio, live on DAZN. Jesse Bam Rodriguez takes on Christian Gonzalez for the WBO flyweight title. Also on the card will be Rajan Akhmadaliev take on Marlon Tapales for the WBA and IBF super bantamweight title. And finally on Showtime this Saturday night, Sebastian Fundora takes on Brian Mendoza for the WBC interim super welterweight title. Also on the card will be Brandon Lee taking on Pedro Campa in a super lightweight bout. And Luis the Twist Nunez, 18-0, takes on Christian Olivo, 20-1 in a featherweight contest. A lot of stuff going on a lot of stuff going on Saturday night live all over the place. Also, let's see here what we got here. Friday night on Showbox will take place in a place called Brooks, California. The main event will feature Shenard Bunch, 21-1, 16 knockouts, take on Brian Flores, 23-1, 13 knockouts in a super lightweight contest. Also, the opener pitched Raul Garcia, 12-0, 10 KOs, taking on Robert Terry, 9-0, 3 knockouts. And the new co-feature will fit Jaye Brown, 13-0, 9 knockouts, taking on Guido Schramm, 15-1, 9 knockouts in a super welterweight bout. Some news of the week: 2 matchups will be featured on the ESPN Plus pay-per-view contest on May 20th. Vasily Lomachenko, we know, is going to take on Devin Haney for the undisputed lightweight championship. The 2 TV fights will pit Oscar Valdez taking on Adam Lopez in a rematch of their 2019 fight, and also undefeated lightweight Diego Raymond Maratala take on Junti Jeremiah Nakathila on that in a lightweight contest. The UK Anti-Doping Commission has announced that former and retired world champion Amir Khan tested positive for his fight against Kell Brook. That fight took place about a year ago, and is finally coming out. It's a 2-year ban if Khan ever decides to fight again. WBO cruiserweight champion Lawrence Oakley, 19-0, 14 knockouts, actually pronounced Oakley. 19-0, 14 knockouts, takes on Chris Billam-Smith, 17-1, 12 knockouts. That place will take place May 27th in Bournemouth, England. That's the hometown of Billam-Smith. The pay-per-view undercard has been set for the April 22nd mega showdown between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Will be out there for that fight. And the co-feature, the WBA super middleweight regular champion David Morrell with 8-0, 7 knockouts, takes on Sinek Becco, 27-2, 21 knockouts. That would be the co-feature. There'll also be a much anticipated rematch between Gabriel Rosado, 26-6, 15 knockouts, taking on Beck the Bully Malakuziev, 11-1, 9 knockouts. We say 11-1. That one was a vicious knockout by Rosado a couple years back. And kicking off the pay-per-view telecast will be Elijah Garcia, who I'm going to hope to have on the podcast next week. 14-0, 12 knockouts to take on Kevin Salgado, 15-1, 10 knockouts. Sad news coming out of Scotland. The former undisputed lightweight champion Ken Buchanan passed away this past Saturday. We mentioned he won 33 straight fights before unsuccessfully challenging Miguel Velasquez for the vacant European lightweight title, but also was the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. The WBA Championship Committee ordered negotiations for a world title fight between heavyweight super champion Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. They will have 30 days from the start of April 4th until May the 2nd, or else the bout will go to purse bid. The IBF ordered Seventhi Nasinga and Reggie Sugardrab to begin negotiations for the IBF junior flyweight mandatory defense. Purse bid was ordered on March the 30th to take place on April the 11th. Undefeated WBO middleweight champion Yanibek Hanala, 13-0, 8 knockouts, will defend his world title against Stephen Butler, 32-3 and 1, 26 knockouts. May 13th in Stockton, California. The co-feature will be another world title fight. His former 2-time world title challenger Jason Maloney, 25-2, 19 knockouts, takes on Vincent Astriabio, 18-3, 13 knockouts for the WBO Bantamweight Championship. Virgil Ortiz had to withdraw from his April 29th showdown with WBA regular welterweight champion Imantas Stanionis in a flare-up of the retidomyosarcosis that Ortiz originally suffered about 14 months ago. And also, finally, July 25th is now the makeup date for Naoya Inoue and Stephen Fulton. Fulton, the WBC WBO 122-pound world champion. He'll take on Naoya Inoue on July the 25th. I'd like to thank Bruce Carrington for joining us this week. Next week, we have a loaded card. Like I said, I'm working on a whole bunch of guests. So I hope everyone enjoys a lot of fights this weekend. Fights on BXNG TV on Friday night as well from Philadelphia, Saturday night from Chicago, and actually Monday, a fight card from Las Vegas, I believe. So a lot of action, plus all the stuff that's on DAZN, ESPN, and Showtime. I'm Mark Ames. We'll see you next week on the Abrams Boxing Show.